Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is your friend and full-time astrologer, Gretchen Heidel, full-time astrologer, life coach, Reiki master, and so much more. And I am here tonight. I'm saying take two because I was in the middle of a broadcast and it completely just dropped me. So I took the time, I restarted my phone, I restarted my iPad, and we're going to start all over again. So welcome everybody who's joining me tonight. I can tell that Mercury is getting into its shadow period here because Mercury retrograde is starting, I guess, for me up in my chart. I'm also doing a live broadcast while the moon is forming an opposition at 8:30 p.m. It's going to be opposing Saturn, so I might be getting some of that Saturn type of energy that's going on current time. So hopefully you guys are finding me again and rejoining. Please say hi again if you're just rejoining, because I want to make sure that that people are getting this. It does look like I'm live now on Instagram and I'm live on Facebook. Hopefully you guys are seeing me and hearing me okay. Noel, hello, welcome. Give me a call, send me a text, and we can do a reading. Some people are joining, it looks like. Okay, Kelly, yay, Kelly's rejoining, awesome. Looks like hi from Rita, hi from Kate. Oh, this is good, good, good. Okay, I don't know what happened. I have no idea, but I just thought, I should just restart my devices and we will just start over again because this is the energy that we're dealing with right now. So welcome everybody who's joining me live on all my platforms, and I will be also uploading this afterwards. So if you don't get to watch the full broadcast, either live or this might be a longer broadcast also, just to let you guys know. So if you don't have time to stick with me the whole time, you can watch it again on the replay and you might be able to watch it in different sections. Hello, welcome. Oh, good, good, good. People are joining on Instagram and on Facebook, it looks like. I don't have as many people yet, but hopefully they're finding me again. I have no idea what happened. I was in the middle of talking and it just dropped like that and I lost everything. So, so we're going to start again and we're going to go over the Neptune Jupiter conjunction tonight. This is going to be a special event. This is happening all throughout 2022. So basically this is one of those like kind of defining the year type of moments, because if you remember last year was the Saturn-Uranus square, okay? And if you remember the year before in 2020, we had all those planets conjunct each other, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, oh my, conjunct each other in Capricorn, and that was like the start of the pandemic. And then we had the 2021, and we had all this kind of crazy stuff going on with the pandemic and economy, and 2020 was a lot of politics. It just was like a lot. So now we have the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, which will be taking place in the astrological sign of Pisces. It'll be 23 degrees Pisces, so towards the end of Pisces. If you're not sure where Pisces is in your astrological chart, Pisces birth, it usually is between February roughly 21st to March 21st roughly. And so it'll be, if you're a March Pisces, you'll be definitely in the heart of this, but it is going to be absolutely positively like an overarching theme all year, and it doesn't matter what sign you are. So if you're just joining me, welcome. Penny, oh yay, Penny found me. Kate found me. Kate's you're a Pisces too, that's great. And we have a bunch of people here on Instagram. Welcome, welcome. If you want to post your astrological sign and also where you're tuning in from. I love to hear where everybody is joining me from. I did a ton of research for this. You guys, I did so much research. These are all my notes. I mean, I spent almost like all day, like kind of looking up stuff. So you might want to get a pen and paper handy because this is going to be a heavy factual data, hopefully a light presentation, but a heavy factual data because I have a lot of things to go over. So what the deal is, and everybody, you've probably all seen the posts, okay, from astrologers saying things like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and it's so super rare, and it's all blah, 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 blah. Some of that is a little clickbaity, okay, a little bit, because they want you to click on their post. It seems very salacious, tantalizing. It's a rare event. It's not really rare. Neptune and Jupiter come together okay, all the time between every 12 to 13 years. So many times, hopefully in our long lifetimes, when we live long, happy lives, we have Jupiter and Neptune coming together every 12 to 13 years. What is once in a lifetime, for sure, and it's a little bit true, is the fact that it's going to be occurring in the astrological sign of Pisces. The last time that we have seen this happen in Pisces is all the way back in 1856. So 166 years ago was the last time that this event happened in the astrological sign of Pisces. I'm going to give you the dates, okay, that these in the recent history that these have occurred. Now, I want you to listen up. If you were born during this time, in these dates that I'm about to give you, it means that you have this already full-time in your natal birth chart. So you were born with this in your chart and you have it operating in some way, shape, or form full-time in your lifetime. Or maybe you know somebody that was born in that date. Let's say it's your parent, let's say it's your child, let's say it's your best friend, whatever. Husband, wife, spouse, whoever. Okay, so I want you to hear these dates, and you might want to write them down because that's going to be part of this. So, yeah, Holly said broadcast was paused. It wasn't paused, it actually just stopped. So I don't know what happened, but I'm back again. Lori, yay, so great to see me back. And Pisces in the second house. Ooh, so you're going to get some good luck with money, honey. That's you want to listen real close to this broadcast, okay, for you, because this is going to be a big one. Okay, so here are the dates. All right, so obviously right now, so if somebody has a baby, okay, this year, they're going to have this in their full time in their astrological chart in the sign of Pisces. Okay, so 2009 was the last time that we had Jupiter and Neptune coming together in the astrological sign of Pisces. The conjunction means they're both at 23 degrees and 23 degrees. Jupiter's 23, Neptune's 23 in Pisces. Okay, so 2009 was the last time this happened, and that happened in the sign of Aquarius. 1997, that happened in the sign of Capricorn. 1984, that happened in the sign of Capricorn. 1971, which was your astrologer here, I have this in my astrological birth chart full time in the sign of Sagittarius. 1958, okay, and that was Scorpio. 1945, that was a Libra. And then 1932, which is in Virgo. And by the way, if you were born in 1932 and you're watching this broadcast now, you're 90 years old and you are awesome, okay? I'm just saying. All right, but those are the dates in the last recent history in our time frame that we live in where those dates were very important. So what I want you to do is I want you to think, was I born in that time? Anybody I know that was important to me that was born in that time? Or were any of those times big years for you? Because then you can start to look in your own life as far as predictive astrology goes, because remember, time is not linear. Time is cyclical. Things return, things come back around again. So when we look at this, it's really, really, really important to know those dates, okay? So again, 2022, 2009, 1997, 1984, 1971, 1958, 1945, and 1932 were the times that we were last in this sort of thing. And in doing the research for this, okay, and like I said, it had actually occurred the last time in Pisces was March 17th, so St. Patty's Day in Pisces, 1856. Just a little while ago, 166 years ago. So in doing the research for this broadcast, I started to notice a lot of patterns that were coming up, and I'm going to give you the secret sauce. A lot of astrologers don't talk about this. They talk about what they kind of learn as far as, sort of how these things happen and what it means, but what they don't tell you and what good astrologers do is they look at the history. So this is going to be a history lesson with Gretchen tonight. And we say, what happened in the past during those times, and how can we kind of, and I noticed some really, really cool patterns that you are not going to want to miss. So we're going to go over the patterns with this. I'm going to talk about some of my personal predictions of what this time frame is going to be about. And then, of course, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to try my best to do some questions, but, you know, it's a lot to go over, so we'll see if we have time for questions. This broadcast might be a little longer than normal. All right, so let's do a basic. Okay, Neptune. Neptune's been in Pisces since 2011. Neptune's like one of the furthest out planets there, other than, you know, Pluto. And so Neptune is in each sign for roughly like 14 years. It's a long time. So Neptune is going to be in Pisces between 2011 and 2026. Jupiter is roughly in each sign for 1 year. So that's why it takes, okay, because Jupiter comes around every roughly 12 to 13 years, okay, and hits, you know, comes to where Neptune is, and that's kind of what's happening. So basically this is going to be in Pisces, and this is a big, huge, fun thing. Now the next time, 13 years from now, it's going to be in Aries. That'll be the next. So we're completing a cycle in Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. And when you look at Neptune is a lot of really interesting things. And then Jupiter is also the great expander. So Jupiter is very, we nicknamed Neptune Nebulous Neptune. Okay, so Neptune in Greek mythology was Poseidon. And so Neptune is all about like the mystery, the intrigue, very creative arts, you know, music, different types of genres. Now, specifically, it has a lot to do with film, photography, videography, digital, you know, images, all kinds of things with film. That's Neptunian. And then we get into Jupiter. Jupiter is a lot of different things as far as optimism, expansion. Jupiter was Zeus in Greek mythology. So optimism, expansion, whatever Jupiter touches makes it bigger, okay? And so in the higher realm, you know, people like to put things in the category, this is good and this is bad. Well, it just is. And so I can't put it in like a positive or negative realm. It just is. It's like a complicated sort of thing. How do I say this? It's kind of like, have you guys ever had something in life that turned out to be, it was maybe at the time you thought it was a bad thing, but then it turned out to be a good thing? You know, sometimes that's the way these things are. So we can't categorize them and look at them as black and white, in other words. It's a lot of gray area, and especially when we're talking about Neptune. Neptune is like the king of gray areas, okay? You know, nebulous Neptune is the ocean. It's Poseidon. It's like out at sea, you know? It's the mysteries and all that kind of stuff. So, I want to say this. The last time that, again, 1856 was when it was in Pisces. And two really big people that if I say these two names, and I am going to say them, two big names, when I say these things, these names, two big people were born during this time in 1856 in Pisces. And if you think about these people, they really embody this type of energy. So Sigmund Freud, okay, he was born the greatest probably psychoanalyst of all time. And if you think about the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, the going into creating stories and using the imagination and all that stuff, that's very Neptunian. In fact, Pisces in an astrological chart naturally rules over the 12th house, which is the subconscious, the unconscious. It's where we go to rest. It's where we go to pray. It's where we go to look at our stuff, our skeletons in the closet, and what makes us tick and what causes all the things. So literally Sigmund Freud was born with this full time in his chart, his whole lifetime in Pisces. So that's pretty cool. And he was born in 1856. And the other person that was born in 1856, which was very, very important, is Nikola Tesla. Okay, Tesla. So the great inventor. And because he was so good at using his his imagination and his ability to create and to think outside the box and really you know, kind of like dream big. That's very Neptunian. That's very Pisces, and that's very Neptunian. And so Nikola Tesla, the great inventor, again, we know these people, 1856, and we still know them as a household name, okay? And so that's very Jupiter and Neptune coming together in Pisces. And it's interesting, Dallas, Texas, which I think is very interesting, was actually incorporated or born under this Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces in 1856 also. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know how exactly that's Neptunian because I have not been there, but it is definitely big. Okay, like when you look at Jupiter, Jupiter is very big, big and over the top. So I think of Dallas, Texas as a very big energy, and it's of course is a huge city too. I mean, so that's kind of an interesting thing as well. So there's a lot of like I said, film. Okay, Neptune is a lot of film stuff, photography. So the tin-type camera was patented in 1856. Okay, that was pretty cool. And that's very, again, that Piscean, films, all that stuff. Kinetoscopes, I hope I'm saying that right, developed by Thomas Edison, 1894, when Jupiter and Neptune were together in Gemini. Okay, 1894 was in Gemini. That was the very first preview of a motion picture showing, okay, during that time. And so motion pictures, right, Neptune and Pisces. Avatar, the movie Avatar, 2009, okay, the highest grossing film to date ever in history. And if you think about it, 2009, right, was in Aquarius. Aquarius, Avatar, oh yeah, totally you can see Avatar in Aquarius. Like that is like so Aquarian. So that was 2009 when that came out. The first colored magnetic type of film, okay, came out in 1958 in Scorpio. So you can see how Neptune and Jupiter and Pisces and all that kind of stuff is really, really, really big into photography, film, digital. Now think about our lives right now. More than ever, okay, 2022, more than ever, we are like, I mean, we're addicted to our cameras, okay? We have cameras on our phones. We have cameras on our iPad. I'm on a camera right now, okay? We're talking on cameras. We're constantly doing videos. We're doing TikTok and Reels and different things. So if you make a living this way, even on Zoom, okay, if you make a living this way, this is going to be very beneficial for your business. And definitely, if you're born under this, it's going to be even doubly so. Like myself, I was born under it, and I love to take pictures. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a photographer because I think you have to have like sometimes fancy equipment for that and stuff. I think every one of us right now is a photographer, like I was just saying. But man, when you look at this, this is more than ever, especially this year, if you have aspirations to really get yourself out there, to start an online business, to start a YouTube channel or TikTok channel, or get up on, Instagram, now is your time, okay? This is really, really beneficial to use. So again, when we look backwards, to look forward, that's what we're doing in astrology. So I'm going to tell you historically what the deal is, and then I'm going to share with you what I feel, how it's going to affect our time that we're in now. So that's one. I think that we're going to be even more deeper into the age of film. There might even be a discovery of a new type of film, a new, way of recording images and recording videos and things like that. Funny enough, I was just trying to record my video and it stopped on me, but but that's just kind of the way things go. Okay, so kind of a fun thing I found, it was like a little tidbit, but I thought it was really interesting. In 1856, one of the big inventions during that time, and I mean it was like in March of 1856, it was like happened right at the very peak of this time, was actually the first mass production of a synthetic dye called aniline, or aniline, I'm not sure how you say it, purple. Okay, and I'm going to show you, I printed a picture because I thought it was so cool. 1856. Okay, and that was an example of the color purple. It was the very first mass-produced color. And when you think of the 12th house, and you think of Pisces, and you think of Neptune, that's the crown chakra. Okay, the 12th house is really the crown chakra. You know, when you think it, and you look at this beautiful purple color, that was an example of a Victorian dress back in this time with this beautiful, it was also called, I think it was Perkins purple or something. Anyway, you guys can Google it. It's pretty fun. But I love this color, and it's very crown chakra-esque with this Neptune energy, because Neptune is all about your connection to God, to higher consciousness, to something, to spirit, to something that's greater than yourself, higher consciousness, you know, God consciousness, your connection to the divine. So when you think of the color purple, you think of this Neptunian energy, and I think it was so cool that that was the very first color dye that was ever mass produced. So yeah, so I kind of brought some examples of like that beautiful connection to, again, this crown chakra energy. I have a little candle holder that's amethyst, but you can kind of get the hint here of this beautiful purple energy. I love it. And I just thought I would bring that to show you because it was quite lovely. So that was a really cool invention. Condensed powdered milk was kind of invented back in that time as well, which I thought was interesting. The very first Apple Macintosh computer, 1984, when this was in Capricorn, Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Capricorn. I thought this was a really funny one. Alan Shepard hit the first golf ball on the moon when this was in Sagittarius. Such a Sagittarius thing to do, hit a golf ball on the moon. In 1971, when this was in Sagittarius. So we had some pretty cool inventions and pretty cool like things that happened. So because when you think about Jupiter and Neptune, they're the most expansive planets we have in our solar system other than the sun. So Jupiter is literally the biggest planet, and then that gaseous planet Neptune is also rather large too. So they're considered in astrology to be very, very expansive, and you know, when you think about this, it's really kind of cool. So that's an interesting factoid. I'm kind of going over some of the fun ones. We're going to get into some of the more heavier things that this is associated with. Okay, so let's see here. The other piece of this, when you think about Neptune is fantasy, illusion, delusion. Okay, the secrets, you know. Pluto, yes, is secrets, but Neptune it can be straight up lies. I'm just going to be honest. It's like, it can be lies, it can be deception, it can be fraud, it can be all this kind of stuff. But when we look at the positive side of it, okay, we're going to do that first, and then we're going to look at some of the heavier stuff. The positive side is that basically, I had forgotten to write down another fact here, so I'm just looking at it really quickly. The positive side is this fantasy and illusion thing. Okay. 1881, the greatest show on earth started, which is the P.T. Barnum and Bailey Circus. When it was in 1881 was when Jupiter and Neptune were in Taurus, and that's when the circus started. The Barnum and Bailey Circus started in that time frame. Another thing that started, which was kind of interesting, the very first full-length motion picture ever about zombies and mummies, okay, started in 1932 in Virgo, which I thought was pretty cool. Very first zombie apocalypse movie, I guess. It was called White Zombie, and then there was another one about the mummy movie that was full length, and that was in 1932. So that's that fantasy, that Neptunian fantasy that kind of happened. And like I said, Avatar was 2009, which was the biggest grossing motion picture of all time. So, you know, again, when we look at this fantasy and the illusions and all this kind of fun stuff, I mean, especially Barnum and Bailey Circus, I mean, that's all about like illusions and trickery and all that kind of stuff. So getting into something here. It's also a time, it seems, Jupiter is our legal system. Jupiter is law and legal stuff. Now, especially Libra is legal as well, but Jupiter is a planet Libra is a sign and Jupiter is a planet. Jupiter is really like, and it's the 9th house, by the way. Jupiter is the ruler of the 9th house, Sagittarius house. But it's the area where law and legal things come into place. And I just said Neptune can be fraud and all that kind of stuff. Some of the biggest, I mean, I was shocked when I was going back in history looking at people who actually were getting convicted during this time frame and brought to some sort of justice that committed huge frauds. Okay, so I thought that was very interesting fact. So I'm going to read some of those off. Bernie Madoff sentenced. The biggest Ponzi scheme in American history in 2009 during the Jupiter-Neptune Aquarius. So he was sentenced. He didn't commit the crime during this. He was sentenced. And so was O.J. Simpson. He was found responsible for the deaths of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in a civil trial in 1997 while it was in Capricorn, okay? There was a big heist, which I actually learned about. I learned more about history through astrology than I ever learned in school, but there was a big heist, apparently, that took place in 1984 called the Brinks Mat Robbery. They stole 26 million pounds of gold, silver, and cash. Hello, the biggest, like, bank robbery ever, like, of all time. 1984, also in Capricorn, which was interesting. Charles Manson, 1971, was convicted of the murder of Sharon Tate and plus the 3 women that were involved with him. They were convicted in 1971 while they played Helter Skelter with the Beatles at their trial. So again, these people committed these crimes during other times, but were convicted during this time. I have a theory. I think we already know who our current time frame conviction is that's going on in this particular time that we're in now. And my theory is that it's Elizabeth Holmes. Okay, so if anybody, current time, 2022, if anybody has heard about the Elizabeth Holmes story, Elizabeth Holmes now has a show about her on Hulu, and it's called The Dropout. So it's like a real life enactment, you know, kind of thing, made for TV, six episode series or 7 episodes. If you guys have Hulu, it's really cool. I liked the show. They had a 2-hour special on her 2020. Here's the interesting thing. I pulled up Elizabeth Holmes' chart right here. Guess when she was born? 1984. While this was conjunct in Capricorn. So Elizabeth Holmes has this living in her chart full time, and she's the one that basically did the big scheme where she got, I think, close to $1 billion, all for her Theranos invention, which didn't work. And so she was like basically scheming all this money. She developed this large corporation, and if you think about corporate stuff, where this lived for her full time is in Capricorn. So she has Mercury in Capricorn, she has Venus in Capricorn, and then she has this Jupiter Neptune thing all in Capricorn. I'm sorry it's not bigger, but that's basically her chart right here with all this Capricorn stuff going on in her chart. She also has her moon in Pisces. I do too, so I'm not downing a sister with a Pisces moon. I'm just saying her moon is conjunct Lilith, dark moon Lilith, in her chart in Pisces. So basically, Elizabeth Holmes is the one. I think she's awaiting sentencing as we speak in real time in 2022. And I think that's my theory, because all these, when you think of Bernie Madoff, I think she's our time's Bernie Madoff, And so I'm getting to it. Some people are saying, what about the Russian war? I'm getting there. I told you this is going to be a little bit of a longer episode, but because when we talk about they were talking about like over 100 years of history here. I mean, this is really a long. Somebody said, what sign was 1971? It was in Sagittarius. So anyway, I'm saying that each and every time I go through, I'm saying the sign that it was in, so you might want to take notes. Oh, cool, Rosalie, you're watching The Dropout right now. I am too. I love it. I thought it was really cool. Wendy said Putin war crimes, I hope. Exactly. We're getting there, though. And hey, everybody that's on Instagram, too. So anyway, so Elizabeth Holmes, I feel, is going to be our big conviction during this time frame. I hope it's not another, there's not even more, but I do think that she's going to be like what history will talk about, okay, with her. Could be Trump too. Yeah, you never know. Could be Trump. Somebody said Trump. I don't know. But we'll see. But definitely Elizabeth Holmes follows along with this sort of Bernie Madoff thing. Bernie was the last go around, okay, excuse me, when this was active all those times ago. He was in the 2009. He was in the last one. So yeah, so it's kind of interesting that we that we're going through this again, you know, that we're having this conviction and we're having this Jupiter legal system battle and things like that, which is very Jupiter-esque during this. Okay, so the other thing that I also noticed a pattern with was substances. Now Neptune is addictions. It's all forms of escapism. It's addiction, it's substances, it's depression. It can be depression, Neptune. When we look at the sort of other side of Neptune, the sort of darker, murky side of Neptune, and unfortunately, literally as I'm doing my post right now, a news flash just came in and said that there were the most opiate deaths in history in the United States just now. Like, it was just kind of a thing, just came in. Ironically, though, there is because Neptune and Jupiter are together, yes, this can increase substance use. And I think definitely we're seeing that with the pandemic, you know, alcoholism's through the roof, drug addiction's through the roof, all kinds of things. So in history, again, legal system, we saw a lot of almost like prohibition stuff, okay, during this time. Probably because it got out of control maybe, and then they had to kind of reel it back. So again, Neptune being the usage of drugs and alcohol, and then Jupiter being legal system. So in 1771, while it was in Sagittarius, cigarette ads were banned on television. Okay, so no more Marlboro Man TV ads. In 1920, an anti-cigarette league was formed while it was in Leo. Okay, that was a long time ago, 1920. 1881, Kansas was the very first state in the United States to actually do alcohol prohibition. And then in 1894, this is a fun fact, Coca-Cola was sold in the very first time in bottle form, and it had just a little bit of cocaine in the original recipe. So like, oh my God, we were mass producing soda with a little bit of cocaine in it and selling it in 1894. So that was kind of an interesting thing too that I found out during this time. But yeah, I mean, drug and alcohol usage definitely is up. And it's a sad thing. And going back to our friend here, the amethyst, my little candle holder that I have, amethyst is actually the stone that is the official stone for Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? Because it is said to help with higher consciousness and being able to connect to your higher wisdom. It is said to help with depression and whatever, but obviously this is a thing. And I think that potentially there might be, they're starting. So again, how is this going to be in our time frame? I do think, we're seeing right now in the court system fighting out big pharma being held accountable, for starting opiate crisis and just kind of giving people OxyContins like it was candy, And so I think that that might be our prohibition that we're kind of looking at in this time frame is that. I also do think that nicotine and vaping is going to be a thing that we could see a lot more constriction or restriction with, and selling to like underage kids and things like that. So I think in our time frame, I think that's going to be how that sort of comes down. Speaking of which, medicines, well, when you look at this, it's not just medicines, it's viruses. Okay, so we're going to get into viruses. Whoo, big topic. So Neptune can be illness. In charts, even in our own chart, it can be illness. And Neptunian things, Jupiter and Neptune, seem to be kind of responsible for pandemics, especially when you add Jupiter, makes everything bigger, and then you have Neptune. But here's the good news, and there is good news with this. In my researching, it's so fascinating to me because I saw this transit taking place at the tail end of whatever worldwide global pandemic thing that was happening at that time in history. So I'm going to give you some examples. Now, it didn't quite wrap them all up. I mean, a lot of these things are still active now. Like in 1984 in Capricorn they discovered the cause of the AIDS virus and also developed a blood test for AIDS and HIV. And so it was produced in 1985, like the blood test was out in 1985, but it was discovered or patented in 1984. So that was pretty interesting with the HIV and the AIDS pandemic. In 1907, there was an outbreak of the bubonic plague in San Francisco. Oh my gosh. And so there's that. It was the tail end of the Asian flu the Asian flu was going on in 1957 to 58. It killed like 1 to 2 million people. So it was a big deal. And then the tail end of that, which was 1958, when the Jupiter Neptune thing was in Scorpio, was kind of like the end of it. Spanish flu, same thing. 1918 to 1919 was the height of the Spanish flu, which, I mean, millions of people died during that. And then this thing came out, Jupiter and Neptune, in September of 1919 in Leo. So again, it was like kind of at the tail end of when the flu was kind of on the downside. The third plague pandemic is what it was called, 1855. And I just said this thing happened in 1866. There were 12 million people that died during that time, okay, on the third plague pandemic in 1985. And then again, this thing happened in 1855. And then this thing happened in March of 1856. It was on the tail end of that. So, good news. I know it's saying, I just got alerts today on my phone. All the cases are rising and blah, 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 blah. I can't say the word of what's happening. You may have heard of what's happening, I'm assuming. I can't say the word because I've heard that can actually get my video pulled down, so I don't want to do that. But, you know, the little thing that's rotating around the world when we're talking about colds, flus, and viruses. I know the cases are going up and the numbers are going up, but maybe this thing is going to help us so that we can like kind of get through some of this time frame. So I hope that means that this is going to be the end of our time frame too. You know, that it's kind of wrapping up now. Obviously, like when we look at the Spanish flu, the 1918 to 1919 time frame, we still have the flu in our lives. Like it's still here. We still have HIV and AIDS in our lives. That's still here too. So these things didn't go away, but what happened, I guess, maybe there was what they call that herd immunity thing, or we just start to make it an endemic where we live with it in our lives, whatever. But it seems like that's like kind of, so I'm praying and hoping that is the case here with this particular thing that we're dealing with in our current time of 2022, that this is a sign that we're like coming onto the tail end of it. I was very surprised to see that. And good news. I feel like that was really good news, that it's kind of wrapping up or kind of coming to more of a completion time frame around the viruses. Because it does seem to be that when they come together, there is something going on, but then it's wrapping up. Yay. Okay, so another thing that happened, so what's the other, well, this is a big thing. I mean, really big thing. All right, I just lost my place there. I'm going to find it. It seems to be also at the end of wars. Okay, I have good news tonight. See, I told you it's going to be a good broadcast. This is like going to be a... I know I just said not to put things in categories of good or bad, but this is like better news that I've had. Oh, here it is. It's right in front of me. So I found the same pattern. So when you're looking at these things, you're looking for the patterns, right? So I found the same patterns when it came to all different kinds of wars. I'm not sure if I'm going to say this properly. Hopefully I am. Fingers crossed. Okay, so in 1856, the biggest thing that wrapped up in that year was the Crimean War involving Russia and Britain, France, and Turkey, I believe. And so they were all together. And so it was called the Treaty of Paris, 1856. So that war wrapped up. There was a lot of times when Neptune and Jupiter came together and there was actually a time of peace or wanting to get along. Now, I didn't go over what the like sort of higher thing is with Neptune. Neptune, it is illusions, delusions, escapism. That's kind of the lowest form of Neptune. And it's up to each and every individual how they're experiencing these things. So people who are down and out during this could become more down and out. But people who tend to be a little bit more optimistic and a little bit will actually kind of float up a little bit more. So it's kind of like one of those things it'll make whatever's going on more, okay, if that makes sense. So in the higher Achillean of Neptune is again that fantasy imagination, but it's like wanting to see the world through rose-colored glasses. It's serendipity, it's miracles. Neptune is actually the planet of miracles. It's that spiritual God consciousness. It's that connection to God, Buddha, the universe, whoever it is you pray to, your angels, your spirit guides. And Neptune is like an idealized version of what we hope and dream could be possible. So when I looked at this, there was a lot of treaties that happened during these times of people trying to come together and trying to, so the Crimean War ended 1856 when it was in Pisces. That was also the year of the treaty of the Nepalese-Tibetan War. That also was a treaty too, so that was a whole other area of the world. I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's going to be all year, Wendy. It's all year. I'm talking, this is 2022's broadcast, okay, my friends? I want you to really pay attention. This is active all year. Snap, snap. We're in this. Okay, so here's the other piece of really interesting news. Okay, 1919 to 1920, this thing was active in Leo. Jupiter, Neptune in Leo. That was the end, roughly around the ending of World War I. There was a lot of treaties. A lot of treaties. I couldn't even write them all down because it would be too much for the broadcast. But Treaty of Versailles, Treaty of Saint-Germain-en-Laye. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Big treaties. Then, here's this. It was also the end of World War II. 1945 in Libra. Okay? So this ended all kinds. I found it was fascinating. I didn't even write it all down because it would just be too much and it's just like a lot. But there was ending of war, ending of war, ending of war. They stopped this fight and this fight. Now, I'm not going to say it was totally peaceful because in 1945, when this thing was in Libra, the bombing of Hiroshima happened. Okay, so it wasn't like completely peaceful. Okay, you know, that was a horrible event. But there's this like idealized thing of like, let's live in peace. Let's make the world a better place. Let's move on. Let's stop fighting with each other. And so, you know, and I want to get to current time frame, 2020. So when we look at this Ukraine and Russian thing, you know, I mean, there's a lot of lying. You know, that's that Neptune being naughty. There's a lot of lying. Why are we even doing it? Why are they even doing this? What does this war even mean? Nobody knows. Okay, it's a mystery, right? It's that Neptunian mystery kind of thing. And so I'm really hoping that during this year of 2022, I have said this conflict is going to be a super long drawn out thing, because if you think about Ukraine, all the people that are now exiled from Ukraine and fleeing for their lives, what do they have to go back to? There's nothing left in some of these areas. It's like rubble. There's no home to return to for those people. So in that aspect, it's going to be a very long like rebuilding time and like figuring things out. I have made this, I've said this, I actually feel that someone close to Putin is actually thinking of assassinating him. I have felt that. It's a male with light colored hair and blue eyes. I have felt that. Nobody tell him, because we'll just let that play out. Not that I hope anything for anybody, but I'm just saying, if there's a time in the world that when someone who is creating such great harm and chaos and unease and unrest and murderous, they need to not, you know, be around. So I don't know that this is going to go on in this way forever. I do think, though, that this is going to go on for a long time, because it's going to take a really long time. And of course, it's just like anything. When people are lied to enough, sometimes people believe it. And that seems to be what's happening. And then there might be another person that kind of comes up, or another thing that kind of carries on the energy. And we see that happens in times. But I have felt that there is someone that's very close to him that's thinking of betraying him and going against him. So getting back to this, I do think, though, that this could be a wrapping up. Now, is this World War III? I hope it doesn't get to that. I really, you know, I'm fingers crossed and I'm praying. But I feel like as if this could be an indication that there could be some treaties and there could be some things wrapping up, because that, out of all my findings with this particular research that I've done for this particular transit, you know, I'm listening to a lot of other astrologers. I see them, you know, going, this is the time to manifest and blah, blah, blah. It is. So let's talk about you guys on a personal level. What does this mean for you? You know, I live with this full time in my astrological chart. I was born in 1971. I have it in Sagittarius. And I love films. I love cameras. I love doing this stuff. But it's also very intuitive energy. When you think of Neptune, Neptune is intuition. Pisces is empathy and being empathic and being able to feel other people's feelings and emotions. Yeah, your girl over here has a little bit of that, you know. And so it's something that you can cultivate within yourself. So I'm going to give you the dates that this is active, because I just said it's all year, and it is all year, but I want to tell you the dates that it's going to be the strongest and the most potent energy. So obviously tomorrow, and right now, you know, I mean, when these bigger Jupiter, Neptune, when these bigger outer planets, it's not like it just, you know, it's going to be a longer thing. So this particular thing, again, is coming to a height on April 12th, 2022 at 10:42 a.m. Eastern Time, or what is that, 7:42 Pacific Daylight Savings Time. It's going to be the most potent and the most active and powerful from February of 2022 all the way until June of 2022. And then in the summer, they're going to kind of move apart from each other. You know, Jupiter's moving into Aries over the summer, but then it's going to go retrograde and come back. And so the second time that it's very active this year is going to be between September of 2022 and January of 2023. So really it's most of the year. It's going to be like kind of like the lion's share of the year. And so it's really important to keep that in mind, okay, that it'll be active this long. When we're looking at these big global things, okay, and we look at the war and the wrapping up of potentially some illness that's going around, and times of, but remember, it takes a long time to heal wounds like this. I mean, these are big psychic scars that we have in our society and in ourselves. But I wanted to talk about one of the things that I think, and I'm seeing this a lot in sessions when I'm talking to people privately in my astrological sessions. And by the way, if you like this, make sure you share it, okay? Because this is big information. I did so much research, and you might know a friend or a relative that might find this to be helpful. So go ahead and share it. I am going to, again, post it on YouTube. Make sure you like the broadcast, because that helps to get the information up there so people can hear it and love it also. But one of the things that I think, because nebulous Neptune, right? That's where Pisces and Jupiter is. It's nebulous energy. I'm seeing a lot of existential crisis. That's what I think the biggest thing is. Like, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? What does this all mean? Remember, Sigmund Freud was born in the middle of this whole thing in 1856. I can't answer that obviously on a broadcast. And I can't really even answer that, like, what's the purpose of your soul? Because I feel like everybody's got a purpose to their soul. But it can make us feel a little bit like, I think a lot of this locking down and, not being as social and whatever, what we're being driven towards right now is our spiritual connection. People know when I have talked to you guys on one-on-one in personal sessions, whenever you have planets swinging through your 12th house, think of the house of Pisces as the 12th house, it's the time to pray. It's the time to rest. It's the time to restore. It's the time to rejuvenate. It's not the time to go out and slay some dragons and, do all the stuff. It's more of a time to go inward and feel yourself internally and have your connection to God, Spirit, the universe, your angels, your spirit guides, all of those people, your deceased loved ones. It's time to do that. It's not really as much of a time of outwardness. Now, like I said, in 13 years from now, in the next cycle, it'll be in Aries, which will be a whole different area, and that's the first house, and then it'll be very bold and very kind of in your face. But when we're wrapping up this astrological cycle, okay, of this Jupiter-Neptune kind of thing in Pisces, because it's the last sign of the zodiac, it's the last house of the zodiac, it's the last, everything in the zodiac, Pisces, it's like we're now just being asked right now, just reflect on everything that's happened. Just reflect a little longer. And what is your meaning? What is your personal meaning for yourself, for your soul, for your inner guidance system, and what is basically the deal? That is really something that's very, very powerful. Rita said, I feel that. Yes. Holly, you shared it. Thank you so much. Yeah, please like and share, because this is where it builds up the algorithm, and this information is so important. I just feel like everybody needs to hear it. Holly said her son lives full-time in her 12th house. Yeah, so part of your life, Holly, your whole life, you're going to be sort of asking yourself that question. What's the meaning of my life? What's the meaning of my existence? It's the existential crisis. And so getting back to when I was showing the color purple. That was my favorite movie, by the way. One of my favorite movies is The Color Purple. But when we look at the color purple, and we look at our invention of 1856, lepidolite is so wonderful for that, because sometimes when we feel cut off from the outside world, especially if you're more extroverted of a person, it can really make you feel like you've lost your purpose. And I can guarantee you haven't. It's just a break. People hate it when it's the 12th house time frame of the year. By the way, everybody wants a year for roughly a month has a 12th house time, and mine is in July. And it's so funny because I used to think I hated summer, And because I was like, I hate summer, I hate the heat, I hate the like, because in July I feel like just being inside, being away, being like in, you know, in my little cocoon. And here I'm just in the 12th house in July. And it's funny because as soon as August comes around, boop, I'm like, I feel so much better. And it's hotter in August than it is in July usually. So so when you think about that, it's not because it's summer. It was because it's my 12th house. So the 12th house is definitely a time, wherever your time of year is, everybody has a time of year of 12th house energy. A lot of people don't like it because it's like literally makes them feel sort of stuck, or nothing's happening, Gretchen. I can't seem to make any, you know, all I want to do is sleep on the couch and, you know, watch TV and eat my bonbons. Okay. That's okay. Lepidolite is so wonderful for times like this. Lepidolite is the name of this stone. Again, amethyst is good as well. Lepidolite is also wonderful. And it's like helps us with that feeling of maybe like that little bit of a feeling of being lost, or what's the meaning of life, or what's the, you know, because that's the Jupiter Neptune thing can really ignite that into us, because it's pushing us to imagine. Remember all the cool movies, Avatar, zombies and mummies and all different things. It's asking us to imagine what could be possible. Okay, a lot of really good inventions and things were during this time. Imagine for yourself. And it is about connecting with your spirit guides and connecting with your spiritual self. Maybe it means for you getting a deck of cards. Maybe you've never had a deck of cards before, or getting a new deck of cards, or studying astrology, or, you know, learning how to meditate. Some kind of thing where you can go, maybe it's belonging to a new church, or, you know, praying with a group of friends, or doing a Bible study, however that looks for you. I can't tell each and everybody what to do, but I just like kind of getting connected, because we are spiritually starving right now, starving. A lot of the churches are closing across the country. You know, we're starving. We don't have that spiritual outlet. And I so appreciate and love that you guys love these broadcasts, because, and I got a little, I got a little sidetracked when I fell down the stairs and broke 3 bones in my body. I'll just say that. So I haven't been doing them as much. But for some of you have told me privately, like, this is like your church, you know, that you get to talk and think about these wonderful spiritual things and these bigger pictures, and what our connection to life and God and Buddha and the universe is, and all the wonder Allah and all the people that we pray to. And so there's that. So I really want to push you guys, you know, especially in that Pisces energy is really more of like an esoteric energy. It's not really about slaying dragons and doing this and doing that and all the stuff, even though I just kind of, you know, said, if you think of Sigmund Freud and Nikola Tesla, you know, it's about imagining. Tesla, it was so interesting. He actually, he was a really interesting character. He actually took a job digging ditches so that he could just allow his mind to wander while he was digging and doing manual labor, so he could think up new inventions and think up, like, imagine new things. Albert Einstein said that imagination is, and he was a Pisces, Albert Einstein said imagination is even more important than knowledge, okay? So if you think about Nikola Tesla, who had Jupiter Neptune in Pisces in his chart, you know, imagining all the possibilities of what he could invent and figure out. Albert Einstein, same thing. Our brains need the time to take a little bit of a rest. Now, you might say, but Gretchen, I just spent 2 years resting. I've been, you know, quarantining and not being as active and not being as social and all those things. And that is true. And that can be maybe some frustration feeling for people. But what I'm hoping is we're coming into the other side and gaining connection with maybe something that's higher and bigger and more spiritual connection, and having that moment that we can sort of connect to ourselves and what really makes us happy and what makes us tick and what makes us feel better. And that's what this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, I feel, is going to give us the opportunity to do. Look what I do every day, all the time. I'm always talking to people about these bigger things. Well, I was born during this in 1971. I have it in my chart permanently full time. Again, Jupiter makes Neptune even bigger, and I have a lot of intuition, right? That's kind of what I do. So if you think about it, Elizabeth Holmes obviously did that too, and she imagined only in a negative way, and that was how it went down for her. She was born during it, and now she's being sentenced during it, which I think is quite interesting. But hopefully you use your power for good versus evil. That's what I would say. Use your imagination to help others and to think about what you can do. When we're having existential crisis, sometimes I feel that we really have to help others, and we have to reach out, even if you're just, I don't know, doing something small, like maybe making a donation to the food shelf, or helping give winter coats for little kids, or whatever it is that you can do, feeding, I don't know, the birds or something, and helping the world, in other words, getting yourself outside of yourself and outside of like this. If you're kind of like, wow, there's no purpose. What am I going to do with my life? My life doesn't mean anything. Well, cancel clear. Yes, it does. It means a lot. And so this is the time to connect to that meaning. This is the year to connect to that meaning in each and every one of us and in ourselves. It's not a big outward time. It's more an inward time of reflection. And that can be, by the way, wonderful for journaling, meditating, praying, going on a retreat, spiritual pilgrimage, any kind of thing like that, where you're kind of getting in and really reflecting to yourself. So we have a good time. So again, the peak times of this thing, for sure, we're in the heart. The dead center of it is tomorrow, April 12th, 2022. And then it's really going to be active between February and June 2022, and then September and January, September 2022, and then all the way until January 2023. So we're going to have it active most of this year. It's going to move a little further apart over the summer. But then we're going to see a recoming of it. And I think this thing with the Russian Ukraine invasion is going to be playing out. I think the other thing with the little cold flus and different things is going to be playing out. So we have a lot of, and I do think there's going to be some accountability in the opioid and nicotine areas of the world. I think there's going to be accountability for that kind of playing out as well. So this is good stuff. It's interesting. It is about accountability. I didn't really think about it that way. And if you look at classical astrology writings, it's not really about that. But in fact, that was what I found with the research, the little research that I did for hours today. So I hope that helps everybody. I do want to pull a card, one big card, but I also, if anybody has any questions or anything that they'd like to ask for me about this energy, or, something that you've been dealing with, even like around these topics, feel free to do that. Wendy said, something's been going on. You feel weirdly stuck right now, reassessing. I'm going to just move my camera here. Your path. You're reassessing your path. See, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm so glad you said that. I don't know if anybody realizes this, but part of progress is feeling like a failure. Part of progress is feeling like you're stuck. We often feel like we're losing right before we win. It's very interesting. And it's really something that is part of the process. There's a diagram, I believe it's like 6 layers or 6 steps of success. And part of it is feeling like a failure, feeling like you're not doing enough. That's what this energy is about, is feeling, we might feel a little stuck in the mud. We might feel a little like, we're floating around, nebulous Neptune is kind of like just a floating energy, It's a nebulous energy. So hopefully that helps, Wendy, that it'll help you to kind of feel more connected and starting to come together. And it's not going to happen lickety split. It's going to play out all year. All year. But just know there's going to be a beginning and an end. And our homework, our spiritual homework, is to do this self-reflection work and to do soul searching and looking in our hearts and feeling our feelings. I mean, gosh, if you think of Pisces, hello, it's feelings. It's all feelings. So it's trusting your feelings, trusting your gut, and doing all that wonderful stuff, that wonderful work. I think it's a good thing. So I have all these questions pouring in here. Hi, everybody on Instagram. I haven't been ignoring you all, but it hasn't been as active over here. I can't see some of these. Let's see. Okay, Swan Sea Girl 77 on Instagram said you had a dream last night with a visitation from a deceased friend. I'm so glad you're bringing this up because it's something I forgot. I mean, this is such a big topic. I can't even begin to, like, in one broadcast, like, completely embody it. But I'll be writing about it. I'm going to be talking about it and talking about all year. I'm going to be talking about it. You're going to, at the end of the 2022, you're going to be like, all right, enough with the Jupiter Neptune conjunction, Gretchen. We're done with that. Okay, so Swan Sea Girl said, you had a dream last night with a deceased friend, and you feel like she had a message for her daughter, but I didn't understand. So I'm going to do a card for you on that one. So the reason why I say I'm so glad is because for sure this is going to ramp up our dream life. My dream life lately has been insane. I have been having all kinds of, like, visitation dreams from deceased loved ones. I've been having prophetic dreams. I've just been like, woo, I've been seeing all kinds of things. Like, I've been waking up quite tired because of the dreams being so active. So just so you guys know, this is not unusual during this time to have that, because it's just, like I said, so much energy. So Swan Sea Girl, I'm going to tune in. What do you need to know? What was that dream about? The message? What were they trying to tell you so that you can relay the message properly? It's interesting because I got this visual of, like, almost like a doorway, and the person's, like, looking from one room to another, and they're looking in, but they haven't quite decided to step over the threshold yet or to step through the doorway yet. It's interesting because I got the card of courage for this. So maybe the person's afraid to take that next step, or afraid to go in through the doorway into this new, like, the daughter might be wanting to do something new in her life, or being able to, I don't know, want to be able to connect in some way. But I feel like as if there's this, like, hesitancy, like the person's at the doorway looking in through the doorway, but they're afraid to step over the threshold. And so I would say have courage. I'm going to read you the card. It's Archangel Ariel. Be courageous and stand up for your beliefs. Okay, so she's kind of a badass, she's got a fierce lion. She's like a warrior type person. And so, I feel like as if the message here is about strength, about power, about courage, and don't be afraid to step through the door to look on the other side. I hope that helps. Hey, Kate, on Instagram here. I hope that helps. If you want to, Swan Sea Girl, I'm not sure if you're still on. Oh, yeah, could be for you. She said, oh man, maybe that actually was for me with a heart. Yeah, could be for you. Oh, I didn't realize that was you, Liza. I didn't realize. Sometimes these handles I don't recognize. Oh my goodness, there's so many these, so there's a lot here. I can't read all of these. Oh, Rosalie, yes, reach out. Darcy Joe, you're looking to where to invest your energy and time. I feel it, girl, so I'm gonna pull you a card, Darcy Joe. I think if I remember, you're a Scorpio. So this will be, I should say this, I'm so glad. Again, sometimes these questions, okay, you had to fly out. You had to fly out right there. Hopefully, oh, this is interesting. All is well. You're getting a message from a loved one. I don't know if you can see this, Darcy Joe. Clairsentience, okay, all is well. Clairsentience means that Archangel Raguel, notice your reoccurring physical and emotional feelings because they signify divine guidance. So clairsentience is like a kinesthetic feeling, okay? Like you might get goosebumps. You might feel like the hair on your back of your neck kind of go up. Clairsentience means that you just have a sense or a feeling or a knowing that something is around you. And I feel like you have spirit, because I don't know if you just saw, but those flipped out. So you have a deceased, I think, loved one trying to tell you all is well. It sometimes helps when I make the card like that. Archangel Jeremiah, everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to. There's hidden blessings you will still understand, but I get the sense that someone literally wanted to say all is well with me. Okay, so I hope that that helps, Darcy. But when you said I don't know what to do, I'm going to switch decks, and I'm going to go with my other deck of cards, which is Archangel Gabriel deck. I can tell allergy season is starting. I wish the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction could take away our allergies. That's what I wish. All right, Darcy Joe. What do you need to do about your money and your financial? What do you need to do? I get a feeling around like media, radio, journaling, something. You're getting the card literally of journaling. That could be blogging, that can be writing a book, any kind of thing like that. Consistently writing about your feelings and activities stirs up creative ideas and builds your confidence as a writer. So even if you're not doing that for money, you can sit down and do like what's called a free write, where you literally just sit down and write down some things that come to mind and that you sort of start to feel. That can help to increase your confidence as a writer, especially if you're thinking one day of writing a book or writing about your experiences, having a blog, talking about this, like vlogging. Remember what I just said, Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is very good for this type of stuff, this type of work is vlogging. So funny. I'm going to say this out loud. I haven't even committed to it yet, but I think I am committing now that I'm going to say it out loud. But I have been actually thinking of developing a second YouTube channel because one wasn't enough. Why not have two? But I was thinking about having my own separate channel. So I mean, like that kind of stuff, you know, Darcy Joe. I think that that's something that that you could do. But I feel like it really is about like a story about your life and your experiences. So I hope that that helps. Wendy Martin said, are you coming back regularly? I am going to be continuing to do videos. Whether they're the live videos, I don't know yet. It's really up in the air. I feel like that's changing and evolving. I want to say in 2009, remember when I was telling you guys to look back on the dates that this thing was active that I gave out in the beginning of the broadcast. 2009 was the last time this thing happened. Well, 2009 was when I first started my blog, my very, very first astrology blog. And I'll tell you guys the story of that. So when I very first started doing this stuff, it was because I found myself repeating myself. Full moon's coming, Mercury retrograde's coming, this is happening and that's happening. All these things are happening. So what I was doing is I was starting to write it out in an email, short little email, just to let you know, blah, 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 blah is going to take place. And I would send it out to like a list of people. And then the list of people was growing and the list of people started growing and growing and growing. Well, then I started doing a blog. And 2009 was the first time I ever published an astrological blog. And now what I do is I do it in the form of social media posts, and I do all these different social media posts. Well, I feel like now the next evolution is to continue doing this work in the YouTube format. Having a YouTube channel is really what I want to grow. Sometimes when people watch my videos live, they don't watch my YouTube, and I don't want to take away from the YouTube because I want people to make sure that they follow me, like and share and all that good stuff, because I want this to get out to bigger, broader than my friends and family and all of you that follow me here, which is wonderful, but I want to even do more. So that's my focus. So my answer is I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing lives, but I am going to continue posting on my YouTube. So that's the short answer. Sarah said, this makes me feel better because sometimes you don't remember dreams and they've been out of control. Yeah, they have been, really. Joanne, you wanted to know about, oh yeah. If you're going to be doing your business. Let me just do answer Joanne. Are you going on that trip? Joanne, are you going on that trip? Darcy Joe, you are welcome. I love it. All right, Joanne, really quickly, are you going to be getting your incentive? Are you going to go on the trip? Are you going to get your prize, what you want, all the things? You're going to have to network, girl. This is all about networking, but it's saying you can do it. Magician, you have everything you need. You just need to do it. That's Magician. Funny enough, they both kind of look similar. This is Mercury, and this is the Magician, Joanne. So Mercury is saying you're going to have to really get out there, talk, network, get moving, hustling. It's just all about the hustle. And then this means you have everything you need. You just need to do it. Magician is a really, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the tarot deck, but Magician is in my deck, which is not traditional tarot, and then it's in the traditional tarot deck. And the Magician means that if you, it's like, if I told you to build a shelf, it would mean you have the hammer, the wood, the nails, the glue. You have everything you need. You just have to build the shelf and put it on the wall. So that's what the Magician card is. So I love that card because it's not as much as a predictive card as it's an affirmative card. It's like, you got this. That's what the Magician is saying. So you have all the tools, you have all the contacts, you have all the people. Mercury is saying you're going to have to stir up your contacts. But Magician is just saying, build your shelf, put it up on the wall, boom, you got your trip. Yay! Oh, by the way, Jupiter is long distance travel. So anybody out there wanting to travel this year, that could be a good thing too. It's a long distance travel. And in fact, I was doing my own personal research in my own personal life today, thinking frantically, what happened in 2009? Oh yeah, I took a trip. I actually took a trip to go see my family out west in Colorado. So I took a long distance trip. So Jupiter is traveling, you know, I mean, that's a long distance trip. So that can be a good thing too this year if you're thinking of traveling and doing any kind of thing like that. So you have to be thinking back, what happened in 2009 for you people, and then you will know kind of sort of some similar stuff might go down. And before that, it was 1997. So what was happening in 1997 for you guys as well. And so that's another time frame that you can look back. You just, you know, minus 13, minus 13, minus 13, and there you go, 12 to 13 years. Yeah, so I hope that helps for everybody. I have to get going because I actually have to eat some dinner and wrap things up. It's been a lot today, but hopefully you guys now have much more of a bigger, broader idea. I'm going to pull one card to see what do we need to know, what's the most important thing about this particular time frame. I am going to use my Archangel cards. People are saying that they're taking all kinds of trips. I love this. All right, what do we need to know? Okay. I don't have a card for this particular word, but I'm going to say it after the end. But what do we need to know about this time frame, this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces? What do we need to know? It's the most important thing collectively. Right. Oh, so compassionate. Pisces is compassion, literally. Have compassion. Oh, and you know, Pisces reminds us we're all one. You know, we're all one. What happens to people in Ukraine happens to us. What happens to people wherever in the world happens to us. What happens to our neighbor happens to us. What happens to our friends happens to us, because we're all one. We're all God's creatures, however you want to say. Buddha, universe, angels. We all have that DNA and the spark of life in us, and we're all one. So having compassion, Archangel Zadkiel, soften your heart with respect to this situation and all the people involved. including yourself. So having that compassion for yourself, having that compassion for your brothers and sisters and fur babies on this planet, having that compassion, because we're all in this together. I mean, this cold flu, whatever thing that's, you know, going around, affects all of us. You know, the Jupiter Neptune thing affects all of us. But what I feel, and the biggest thing I got from my research today, is hope. I really feel that this is the time of hope, and this is the time where we can imagine a better world and a better life and a better situation. So I hope that helps everybody. If you guys want a personalized astrological session, go ahead and contact me. The best way to contact me for sure is through texting on my cell phone or through the social medias. I'm going to try to answer all those. And be kind to yourself, be compassionate with yourself, love your brothers and sisters on this planet. And I will see you guys very soon. All right, take care, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.